What's up, y'all? Erroneous here, back with another Godforge video. Today I'm going to be talking about the patch notes for Alpha 2 coming soon, coming tomorrow on Wednesday. The time of this release, it's Tuesday. And I want to also go over all the different camera angles that they've introduced into the game as well. So let's get into it. Alright, so first and foremost, apologies for the really bright screen here. I do have my computer on dark mode, but unfortunately the web page here is extremely light for the patch note page. Now this is patch note V0.2.22249, so let's just call it V2. So these patch notes are going to be for Alpha Wave 2, patch notes created due to the first Alpha Wave testing. If you haven't watched the videos that I've created for Alpha Wave 1, feel free to do so. These are just videos that are going to get you into the game, get you started on fundamentals and what you can do to better your account in an easier way to progress, right? And get an understanding of how the game works. Now, big changes for Wave 2 of Alpha. Alpha Wave 1's over. They couldn't be much happier with the support and feedback from everybody. Feedback was collected and experience were shared, which have been super vital to their team, and they're excited for the next wave of Scions to take on the Caverns of Chaos. Today, we have our first patch notes aimed at fixing key pain points in the experience, improving the game balance of some heroes, and improvements to the hero leveling system. So that's good. So we have hero unbinding now, which has been improved, which we want to see. We want to see improvements for our hero leveling, for our hero binding, make things easier for the player base before the release of the actual game in the future. But of course, we're going to have Alpha Wave 3, and then they're going to have other testing in the future. So managing hero roster can be a challenge. Often you need space to earn those powerful heroes in the caverns. In Alpha 2, we are releasing Hero Unbinding, a system where you can exchange your hero for experience, which is extremely helpful for leveling up your other heroes in game. That is fantastic. I don't think there's many other games that allow you to level up your current heroes with that type of experience crafting. So that's really nice, creating a difference between other gacha games. So I think that's very nice. The system allows you to easily convert them, so you don't have to cut your roster. It makes it easier to cut out champions if your roster is getting full, and makes it so you don't have to spend as much time in game. So that's great. So this just kind of shows you what it looks like right there. I think it looks pretty cool. Heroes will reward you with their spirit form based on their rarity. Common heroes are 1 star, the uncommon are 2, rare are 3, 4, 5, so on and so forth. Heroes will also reward experience scaling on the rank and level. So of course, the higher the level, then the more experience you're going to gain from crunching that hero. And the unbinding cannot be undone. So if you make a mistake, that's on you. That's not on the game. Now, I assume that they're going to implement it in the future. If you can't do it now, that they'll make it say something like a pop-up where it says, are you sure you want to crunch this hero? Are you sure you want to cut them out of your roster? That way it gives you a chance before you crunch the heroes. That'll be extremely impactful. Cavern of Chaos rebalance. The caverns presented some exciting moments, some scary moments, of course, with some characters doing crazy things where you cannot kill them and it's insane to CC them, or your heroes are attacking each other, or they're doing counterattacks for days on end. And so these are going to be changes that they're making. They want to ensure that the caverns remain fun experience, but also present some challenges as you reach the darkest depths. In Alpha 2, enemy heroes have been given new powers and have an increased resistance and accuracy after floor 90. So what was happening is very low level rare champions, heroes, were able to scale past floor 90 with just a full rare team. Now only one person, one content creator was able to do this, but it's just the fact that you're able to scale all the way to the end of the game with all rare heroes very easily in the first Alpha Wave. So they want to be able to fix that and balance the game more. So they want to increase resistance, increase accuracy. It's harder to build accuracy and resistance on your rare heroes as opposed to your legendary or epic heroes. So it tries to make it, the game, they want to make it balanced so that you want to focus on getting those epics, focus on getting those legendary heroes, especially in the future. We made this change because we want Scions to explore greater team building moments and bring buffs and debuffs on their team. Not just one thing, not just debuffs, not just CC only, You know, they want to bring in healers, they want to bring in buffers, they want to bring in, you want to have a good synergy of heroes throughout your entire team. We also heard your pain points about the economy balance of the game. They've made steps in making farming critical resources such as armor easier, which is great. Double Ascension Alchemy Stones across all stages. They've increased the 2-star spirit drop rates, which is huge on upgrading heroes. The stages 120 now grant any armor slot with higher quality stages, perfect for auto farming. So you at 120, you're going to be getting way stronger gear. Huge. They rebalanced ability upgrades for better reward distribution. For those of you who have reached the final stages of the cavern, you may have found our fearsome Fire Drake Fafnir to be a little bit tame. In Alpha Wave 2, they've increased the powers to provide better challenges on stages 150 and 151. So they've made Fafnir a lot stronger, so you can't just beat him easily. Of course, I don't think that he was too easy to beat. I did use a lot of legendary heroes. It was a very legendary heavy team. But of course, there were other players who were able to bring in epics or other heroes that were sort of broken, especially rares like Isolde, who was a really broken character. But of course, they're probably fixing her kit for Alpha Wave 2. They cannot wait to see the teams that we end up putting. So UI improvements, very important. A lot of UI issues, right? We heard the feedback on bug reports and have been working hard to bring the most critical UI improvements for Wave 2. They've heard they were struggling with mobile touchpoints, such as increased all the UI interactions and buttons for mobile users, which is great. So that should lead to much smoother experience with upgrading heroes. Probably the most requested feature was the way to see the realm of your heroes in the roster. So this is great. As you can see here, you can actually now finally click and view the info of your own team with the buffs and debuffs on your team and the enemy team. That's super impactful to understand and see what you're looking at in terms of buffs and debuffs, because those little bars, those little tiny squares that are above the heroes' heads are really difficult to see right now. And so adding this info tab so you'll be able to see each hero is phenomenal. Now, just looking at this, before we even introduce this to Wave 2 in Alpha, I would love to see the heroes' names, because sometimes when you have a hero collection game like this, it's hard to remember and memorize every single solitary hero in the entire game. And so having the names of the heroes, if you can read a name, sometimes in your head, you'll think, okay, I remember that person's kit based on their name. Or, I mean, visualizing their face is great, but having a name is going to be helpful as well, in my opinion. The camera has been updated, so they have plenty of different camera angles now. It says here that against bosses was a little too close. It was like up in your face, literally this close to you. I thought that was a little bit too much. I felt a little bit anxious looking at them, like, oh my god, why is it so close? I can barely see my heroes. They fixed that for this wave. So now you're not as close to the boss, a little bit more zoomed out. You can see more features around the game, around the stage as well. So POV replaces the DEF version and is awesome for that truly cinematic experience. They have a top-down version, great if you want a larger view. Personally, I like top-down versions, which is going to be a bigger view, wider view. I like viewing that mostly. The ACT replaces our 3/4 angle camera and is a balance between the POV cinematic and the top-down larger experience. I'm interested in seeing what the act looks like. Stay tuned, stick around on this video, don't click off. I will be going over all the different views that they've added into the game so that you can see what they look like. So new battle info. We knew going into Alpha Wave 1 that our buffs and debuffs were particularly challenging to read. I already talked about this a little bit earlier. So they are fixing that in battle experience. This is the new in battle experience where you can click a button and you can see a larger view of them now. Defense up, defense down, so on and so forth. They've also increased the quality and size of all effects in the battle, which will be critical as you face new terrors of the cavern. That's great to know. Tons and tons and tons of bug fixes entering into the game. We want to see this. We want to see consistency on this. We want to make sure that the game is popping, but also not stopping, okay? Last and certainly not least, the feedback from all the Scions have provided through the reporting bugs and issues has been tremendous. We cannot thank the community enough for how passionate they are in helping us to deliver a game we want for players. All of the feedback has been received, and whilst we have some bugs remaining, we fixed over 100 bugs between Alpha 1 and Alpha 2. That's huge. So from Alpha 1 into Alpha 2, they've already fixed 100 bugs. It's insane. In particular, bugs related to combat freezes, disables. The combat freezes were probably the most annoying thing because you can't play the game if the game freezes. Disables and locks, Golden Guardian, many critical performance issues have been addressed, making Alpha Wave 2 experience a more stable and reliable experience for the player base. That's huge. Rebalances on heroes and updates. Our roster of heroes await for next descent into the caverns, and we have updated a number of heroes to better balance their power. These include changes to multipliers, divinity, and ability upgrades. In some cases, they've also updated heroes' abilities for better balance of the game. This list is not exhaustive. Make sure to check out all the heroes in game. So they've made updates to all of these heroes currently. Achilles, Aphrodite, Asag, Bastet, Bach, Beowulf, Dracula, Gilgamesh, Heimdall, Hel, Hercules, Horus. So many heroes were changed. Hound of Duet, Icarus, Imhotep, Kunoichi, Leonidas, Minotaur, the Mummy, Musashi, Odin, Pandora, Percival, Quetzalcoatl, Ra, Shamash, Shinigami, Tristan, Edodreg, Ghosh, and Zeus. These heroes in particular have more significant updates and a better balance to their abilities and set and a fixed game-breaking mechanics that led to negative player experiences. So the hero roster, promotion and upgrading were some bug fixes that happened in the hero roster. So they fixed the following bugs. Many passive previously were not working as intended and have now been updated. Cooldown bonuses from abilities upgrades would not apply to heroes. Hero promotion could fail sometimes, which I had that issue a lot of times, not sometimes, and block the player from upgrading heroes. I would have to restart the game. Imprint abilities would now show on heroes' abilities. Great. Several issues with text descriptions for abilities, which have been adjusted. Removed an unintended experience where rapid extraction could grant multiple imprints, which we don't want to see that. Added missing awakening bonuses for several heroes, so that's good. I did notice that some legendaries, some rares, some epics didn't have awakening bonuses. So for example, Hercules did not have all of his awakening bonuses available, whereas some people did. I think that's nice, so you can actually get more out of that champion as you progress throughout the game. It makes them a little bit more impactful on your account. So battles and rewards, the following bugs have been fixed. Imprints were not working on heroes unless they were awakened. Not good, right? You want your imprints to work. And many times when I was in battle, it felt like the imprints were just never working. Lock debuffs could be placed on Fafnir and Golden Guardian, but those bosses were not supposed to be locked. So for example, people were using the rare, which was freezing the heroes over and over. So if you were freezing bosses and then they would skip their turn, you're not supposed to be able to freeze them that easily. Fafnir and Golden Guardian could lose turn meter and divinity permanently. They don't want to see that. They want to see you be able to lose turn meter on the boss or decrease the turn meter for divinity, but they don't want you to be able to permanently decrease it. It makes it impossible for the bosses to even take a turn with an ultimate ability. Retaliate and counterattack caused the battle to freeze for up to 30 seconds, actually in some cases way too long, hours on end for me, and I had to restart the game. Debuffs that cause damage could trigger retaliate and counterattack. That happened specifically with Musashi, which is the ninja hero in the game, and infinite Musashi counterattacks, as you can see here. So it would either kill an enemy by continuously counterattacking that enemy, or it would counterattack against your own allies and kill your own allies. On some stages, Isis and Horus would permanently counterattack each other. Hercules could never die. That was annoying. Sometimes when you're fighting him, he just wouldn't die. He just kept having an immortal buff, and he kept getting full health over and over and over. Acid debuff could reduce your stats instead of the enemies, which was not good. I felt like sometimes the acid debuff just wasn't working. Shinigami animations were not playing. Heroes would vanish when some ultimates were cast. I did see that. Tristan and other heroes would display pink VFX, like big giant square bars of pink VFX, which was weird. Several challenges would not complete despite the challenges being met. Beowulf could deal tremendous unexpected damages to bosses, which I could tell, like, from reading his kit, it didn't seem like he would go that crazy, but after when he was hitting the bosses, yeah, he was taking chunks. He was hitting more than all the legendaries, in my opinion, mostly all the legendaries. So that's wrong. I think that an epic shouldn't be doing that much damage. Some stages granted Aetherstone rewards instead of heroes. Disabled heroes would not play animations but now properly play their disabled states. Fixed an issue causing players to be able to repeat claim 1-star rewards. Okay, yeah, I did get a ton of rewards like that too. Improve memory performance and stability so that your game's not crashing constantly. Alright, so that's all about those items and bug fixes in the game. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below on these bug fixes. Did you want to see a little bit more? And if you did, leave a comment down below on what else you'd like to be fixed in the game as you're watching Wave 2, or that might have been missed from Wave 1. I would love to know your thoughts. Now let's move on to all the different camera angles that they've introduced into the game. Alright, so for this angle, we have the POV angle. It does showcase the abilities. It looks a lot smoother so far. I do love that about this new POV angle that they've added. It seems a little bit further back, which is great because you want to be able to see more of the actual surroundings. You want to be able to see the visualization more clear in the game. So this looks great. The new point of view looks great so far. It doesn't look like the dragon's up in your face as it used to be. Of course, I wish it was a little bit further back than this, but this is just the first view. This is the POV, and it shows all their abilities, which is really nice. And you're able to see the characters in more of a fuller view than before. The abilities look really nice too. So that's great. So that's the POV. Let's move on to the next one. So this is going to be the top 1 view. So top 1, there's going to be also a top 2. This is the first one though. So this one's more of a looking straight back. You're behind them, directly behind your heroes, basically looking straight on. And it looks great so far. I think it looks somewhat similar to what the top view was. Maybe they made the camera angle a little bit further back. And the boss is what we're looking for though. Like, how far back did they reposition this camera? Okay, that looks way better. Already looks 10 times better. They needed to make sure that the camera was a little bit further back so you can actually see the full view of the boss. You're not just seeing the boss's face. That looks 10 times better. Let's take a look at the top 2 view. All right, so here is the top 2 view. And so far, I think, does this one look a little bit better? I think it looks a little bit better, but let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. This one does seem to look a little bit better. I do like the angle when they're throwing their swords, when they're doing their ultimate abilities, whatnot. That's nice. It does look similar to an older view. There's not a massive difference. This one looks a little bit closer though. I think this one looks a little bit closer. I prefer the ones that are a little bit further back. That's just me. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but I like the ones that are a little bit further away from the enemies. But this is not bad though. This actually still looks good for a camera angle for top 2. Okay, so here's the Act 1 angle. This one's slightly angled, and it'll still move the frames. It'll move the characters along with the camera as the characters are moving. So that is kind of cool. It's better than it was in the past, because before it almost was like, could cause like epilepsy for people with all the moving parts basically. So I think this is okay though. It's not terrible. It's better than it was. Yeah, this view is way better. This is way better than it was. You can see more of the boss. You can see more of the background. See, that's what we want to see. You want to see those little changes make a huge difference. Being able to see more of the background art, being able to see the entire boss and all of your heroes. That is what people want to see, in my opinion. Let's move on to the Act 2 camera, and then we'll wrap it up from there. All right, so here is the final change of the camera angles, the Act 2. It does look slightly closer. Again, personally, I like the ones that are a little bit further away. I like to see the entirety of the video, all the effects from all the characters, the heroes, all the boss mechanics. I like to see everything. I like to review and view everything. But so far, it's not bad. I don't think it's bad. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you think of all these new angles in game that they're going to be bringing out to Alpha Wave 2. But so far, not bad. I love that they brought in so many new patch notes, so many new fixes, bug fixes, as well as a way to upgrade heroes faster. It's going to save so much time for the player base. So this is not bad. I like this one too. It's way better than it was. I will say, hats off. Hats off for the developers, for the creators of Godforge for making these updates. I think it makes it a lot better, a lot smoother. Makes the game look a lot better, and especially when rendering, I noticed like when you're going in between cutscenes, it's not as clunky. It was very clunky before, and I think that clunkiness is starting to diminish, which is what we want. We want that clunkiness to be pretty much gone if possible. But of course, no game is absolutely perfect. Things happen. So hoping that Alpha Wave 2 starts off with a bang and we're able to fix even more issues in the game and make more positive impacts on creating a better game for the players. All right, that's gonna be it for this one, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel, like the video on your way out. If you're interested in learning the basics about affinities, check out the video on affinities that I have up here for you. And I will see you on a video soon. Take care.